My name is Ryan. I'm a deployed engineer here at Retool, and we're a tool for developers to build their internal tools. So, my team is a customer success team, and we're in charge of empowering our hundreds of enterprise customers to build their mission critical applications in much faster time than they could in traditional software development. And on the success team, our job is basically to help our customers succeed. So, what exactly do we do? Success creates champions and builds relationships by driving value for our customers. So each member of our team assists around 15 to 20 of our enterprise customers. And in order to do our job really well, we need to understand who to talk to, what customers are looking to build, and any feedback they have for our product. And all in all, we just want to know everything there is to know about our customers. So, who are they? Retool is such a flexible product that our customers span nearly every industry from CPG to fintech to education to other tech companies. And the size of these companies can vary pretty drastically as well. Some are large Fortune 500 companies, others are all the way down to 5 to 10 person startups that are extremely scrappy. And essentially, if you need internal tools, you're going to be a potential customer of ours. With such a wide variety of use cases and contexts from customer to customer, it's actually quite a difficult problem to make sure that our success members are empowered to understand all the data that they need to help solve our customers' problems and help them be successful on the platform. So, what are some of the metrics that we look at? Well, at a high level, we want to understand a whole bunch of different data across different axes. So usage, relationships, value, and risks. So even though that usage is the most direct and obvious metric, we also want to know who we're working with, why they're using Retool, what are they building, and if there's any concerns that have been coming up. And fundamentally, as our customer base continues to grow, centralizing this customer data into one place becomes imperative. Instead of relying on disparate spreadsheets or ad hoc conversations or knowledge in our heads, or maybe a random SQL query here or there. We want to have a central database and central location to retrieve the data that we need. And at Retool, we obviously use a lot of Retool ourselves. And this was a perfect use case for our product. So I went ahead and built it. Let's dive right into it. So this is our account health and account growth dashboard. So a couple of caveats here is that all of the numbers here are randomly generated. So they don't reflect, any of our customer data or anything like that. So at the top and at the macro level, you can see at a glance the holistic picture of how Retool's business is doing. So you can view the top growers and shrinkers from last week. And these are accounts that might warrant additional investigation. So on the left-hand side for the growers, these are accounts that are doing really well this week. Maybe they have a new use case. Maybe they have a new team onboarding. Either way, we want to know about it because that helps us inform our decision making. On the right-hand side for shrinkers, these are accounts that aren't doing so hot. So maybe they have been really frustrated with the product, or potentially they've made some decisions in the back room that we want to know about. And so that way we can, guide them through the process and make sure that we're on the same page in terms of their decision making. So scrolling down to the bottom here, this table consists of all of our enterprise customers, and we can quickly sort through ARR, their different version numbers, when they're created. And a couple of things here is that this gives us a really easy way to have quick insight into how customers are doing. So if they're on an older version of Retool, let's say 2.66, they're actually missing out on a whole bunch of features that we have released in the last 4 months. And so that gives me an immediate action item in my accounts to then follow up with them. So let's say I'm using this application. I'm going to filter for my accounts. So I can go ahead and do that. Like I said, you can quickly see which accounts you might want to remind to bump the version for. But on the right-hand side, you can see their compounded monthly growth rate over the last 12 months. And this is really useful because it helps tell a story on how the account is doing. So some of these accounts might be growing really healthily over the last year, but might be experiencing a dip in usage. And so those are accounts that I might want to look into. On the other hand, it's always a great feeling to see an account that has historically not been doing so well that in the last month has actually boosted a lot. And you can see the efforts of your work. So for some of these concerning accounts, let's say I actually want to dig in and see what's going on. So I would click into one of these accounts to get a breakdown view. And if you remember earlier, the different axes of questions, usage, who to talk to, what they're building, this breakdown view actually helps us analyze and understand some of those questions. So the first one is usage. And this is the most important one. It's the most directly causal metric to our overall revenue. So if I were to go ahead and hide this app saves chart here, this account at first glance is actually extremely healthy. From a users and monthly active user standpoint, and as well as page loads, this account has been growing every single month of the last 12 months, and it peaked last month. So if I were just to purely look at usage statistics, this would be an incredibly good account. But building this dashboard allowed us to do was understand that this actually isn't the whole picture. Instead of looking at lagging indicators, which are typically monthly active users, we actually wanted to get ahead of the curve and look at leading indicators. And the best one that we found was actually app saves, which is, if you think about it, building activity. So every time they make a change in an application and they save the page. And what we noticed historically is that peaks in app saves actually corresponded with peaks in monthly active users and page loads 6 months later. So when they built a lot in September 1st of last year, that corresponded with Q1 bump in 2021. And likewise, a lot of what we're seeing nowadays in terms of this recent peak is actually because of a lot of building going on in March. And this makes sense because when you have a lot of builders building new applications, it takes some time for other folks in the company to start getting used to those workflows and for them to notice these applications are there. So going back to the main point, even though this account looks really good from a lagging indicator standpoint, this account actually doesn't look so hot from a leading indicator standpoint. And this lets me know that I should spend some time this week meeting with the builders and answering their questions and seeing if we can brainstorm how to bring up that building activity and maybe build more apps on Retool. Now that I have that hypothesis, what do I do with it? Well, the natural next step is to reach out to someone at the customer and see what's going on. And so here's our top builders. And these are a list of top 20 builders, including their email, the number of saves that they had, as well as their most recent save and most recent activity. Let's say a top builder actually hasn't been active in months. That lets me know that maybe, hey, they changed teams or there's something else going on there, and I should probably reach out to get the full picture. On the other hand, there might be a new builder that's been building very actively recently, and that's also a great person to reach out to see if I can give them some help, some guidance as they build their Retool applications. Finally is what they're building. And here on top apps, we can see a list of all the applications that are currently there on Retool. And by looking at this breakdown view, we can get a sense of what they're using Retool for. One useful thing as a success member is to cross compare between companies in my portfolio that are similar in scope and use case and see if there's any cross seeding that we can do. So, hey, Jira management is really popular at this technology company. Maybe we can see if this other company would be interested in it. So it helps us come to these meetings prepared with additional ideas for use cases that might not be there currently. What's next for this dashboard? We're constantly looking on building on this dashboard, and obviously Retool is flexible enough to where we can do that really quickly and easily. So what we're thinking about next is adding NPS scores from our customer surveys, integrating with our Salesforce data to get a better picture of the pre-sales to post-sales process, as well as adding customer sentiment through emails and call interactions. Ultimately, Retool is an incredibly flexible and powerful tool that allows all of its users, including us at Retool, to creatively address their business problems with customized solutions. So we can leverage our own domain knowledge, explore our data, and create dashboards to suit our questions and needs in a matter of days to answer our top of mind questions. That's it. Thanks.